Alright, this is section 6-6 called using the percent proportion. And there is a percent proportion that the book will teach you, but unfortunately I'm not going to be teaching you that method. I'm going to be teaching you what I call the percent equation. So let's start with example number 1. So the question states 5 is what percent of 8? Well, the book is going to teach you a different method, but I'm just going to start with what I think is the easiest common sense way to do this. It says 5 is means equals the term what percent. I'm going to put a letter P because we don't know what the percent is. Of means times, and then 8 would be the number 8. And all we're doing here is solving for P. So if this was your equation, 5 equals P times 8, how would you solve for P? Opposite of timesing by 8 is dividing by 8. So P equals 5/8. But the problem with this is we've got to take that to a percent, which means we first have to take that to decimal. So let's start with bottom into top. 8 does not go into 5, does go into 50. 6 times, we get 48. Subtract is 2, drop a 0. 8 goes into 20. 2 times, you get 16. Subtract is 4. Drop another 0, and then 8 goes into 40 5 times. So the answer ends up being 0.625, but we know to move the decimal 2 places right, and we get 62.5%. And that is example number 1A. Let's try B. And this equation, or this sentence says, what percent of 4 is 7? I know you guys are probably looking at these and thinking I can do my own way, and that's fine, but I think this gives it to you in order. So read it and write the equation at the same time. What percent? I would put a P. Of is times. 4 is 4. Is equals. 7 is 7. And again, this is asking for the percent, so we solve for P. That means to divide by 4. So P equals 7/4, which means I've got to take that to a decimal. So bottom into top goes into 4 goes into 7 one time. You get 4, subtract is 3, drop a 0. 4 goes into 37 times. Get 28, subtract is 2, drop another 0. 4 goes into 25 times exactly. And so 1.75 is the decimal, and then you got to move it 2 places to the right. So this ends up being 175%. And that is example 1B. Let's go on to example 2. And example 2 says, what number is 5.5% of 650? So again, I'm just teaching you how to do a percent equation. The book wants you to do a proportion. I think my way is easier in the end. So what number? I'm going to put an N. Is this equals? I'm going to change this number to a decimal. Of is times, and 650 is 650. So in this equation, N is 0.055 times 650, so that should tell you we're just going to multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply right now. So after my multiplication, I came up with 35.75. And my question is asking for what number. So that is my number. I don't have to change that to a percent. There was already a percent number in this problem. So this is just finding that number. So in other words, think about the percent 5.5%. If you got that on a test, that'd be pretty terrible to get a 5.5%. So in other words, you would have scored 35.75 points out of a possible 650. And if you can think of it that way, then that would make sense why that was such a low percentage. But that is example 2, and let's go to example 3. And on example 3, this says 52 is 40% of what number? So let's just start writing it out. 52 is equals 40%. I'm going to change to 0.4. Of is times what number? I'm going to write n. So that's my equation. I write the equation in the same order that I'm given the sentence. And then to get n by itself, in this case, you divide by 0.4. So n equals whatever I get from 0.4 dividing into 52. Now whenever that's a decimal, I got to move this over. So now it's 4 into 520. So 5 goes into 4 once. Minus 4 is 1. Drop the 2. 4 goes into 3. 4 goes into 12 3 times. Get nothing left over. Drop a 0. And then 4 goes into 0 0 times. So the answer ends up being 130. So if you think about this, this is really 52 out of 130 is 40%. That's basically what you just found. So the one number that 52 is 40% of is 130. That's example 3, and let's go to example 4. And this equation, or this problem, says the table shows the number of threatened animal species in the United States in 2004. What percent of the total number of threatened animal species are reptiles? So as you look at the table, we can determine the number of reptiles. It says reptiles is 22. So that's 22 out of, if you look at the bottom of the table, it says the total is 129. So we're just trying to find the percent. So in other words, take this fraction to a decimal, then to a percent. I will do that math on the side here. So here's that division problem all worked out, and I did stop right here where I could drop a 0 down. But this is just asking for the percent. So as we know, 22 out of 129 is 0.1705. Move the decimal 2 places to the right. And then if we're rounding to the nearest tenth of a percent, that would be that 0 right there. And the 5 makes that 0 go up to a 1. So the answer is 17.1% of the total U.S. threatened animal species are reptiles. And that is it. Good luck.